guys, welcome back to Wine Hour Books with your girl Kay. As you can see by the title, we are reviewing Imani Is Dead by Connie Porter. This is how the book looks. Look at how cute that little baby is. Alright, so I want to shout out Beastly Z. Thank you for recommending this book. I appreciate it. I did like the book. It was a sad book. I rated for this book, let's see. I'm gonna give the book a 4. I get a book of 4. But yeah, you already know the vibes. I have my wine right here. I hope y'all have your wine. Let's get into it. So the main character name is Tasha. Tasha is a African American female. She is residing in a state of poverty. She lives in what people call the ghetto, but I call it underserved communities. You know, she for the most part is a good child. She's the only child for her mother. I forgot her mom's name. She's currently in high school. In the beginning of the book, she is hiding her pregnancy. At the time, she didn't even know that she was pregnant until her best friend Ebony, let her know, like, so her stomach is like, girl, you pregnant. What else? Of course, her family is poor. Her mother does not work. Her mother is on welfare. But the mother does the best for her. She unfortunately does not know her father. She never knew her father. She is a girl who can be seen as, fat. Tasha has low self-esteem. She has low confidence. She has low self-worth. She is naive. She's easily persuaded. Compliments. Anyone who compliments her, it automatically makes her feel good, even though she knows that they are bullshitting her. Yeah, so that's Tasha's character, right? So what else? Hold on. Okay, so the reason why she's hiding the pregnancy from her mom can be, judgmental. Her mom also has very high standards for her. Her mom wants her to go off to college and become something. She doesn't want her to succumb to the environment around her. But her mom can be, ignorant. Her mom can be unsupportive. Her mom can be irrational, emotional, and it's difficult. She's at one point, they were close, they had a relationship, but she's hiding the pregnancy, right? And at the same time, Tasha is ashamed to even tell her mom about the pregnancy. So when I was reading it, I'm thinking, like, she had sex with a boy, she got pregnant, that's why she's ashamed. But it's true where they said never judge a book by its cover. You gotta give the characters the benefit of the doubt. So that's why I'm thinking she's ashamed, and but I understand she's young, she doesn't know what's going on. And I'm just like, damn. So one day she's getting ready for school, and her mom, when they say, they don't no lock doors, so her door's closed. She's naked. Her mom just busts in, sees her stomach, and automatically starts hitting her, beating Tasha while she's pregnant. At this point, Tasha is, I believe she was like 8 or 9 months pregnant, but I think she was 9 months pregnant. And she turns, her back to her mom while her mom is beating her, slapping her, calling all these words, and to protect the baby, right? So after the beating, the mom just storms out. She's crying, she's doing everything, and I'm just like, were you trying to beat the baby out of her? So I get that the mom is emotional. She just found out. The way she found out, that's number one. Her young daughter is pregnant, made the same mistake as her. So she's not only beating Tasha for being pregnant, but she's beating Tasha for the same mistake that Tasha supposedly made. And I'm like, damn, you didn't even give sister a chance to explain. You just automatically start hitting her. And I just like in previous videos I've said, like, parents always want to just hit their child. Like, you gotta talk to them, right? So after the beating, Tasha goes to school. She's in her I think it was English or French. No, she was in her English or French class. She asked to go to the bathroom because she was feel like she had to pee. The teacher was like, nah. She ends up, dipping out the class, and then he sees that, she got water leaking out her leg, and she didn't even know that she was her water broke. So they get to the he takes her to the nurse. She gets to the hospital. She gives birth to her daughter, which she names Imani. Imani equals faith. Her best friend Ebony gave her the name of a baby. She had a baby book, and then she looked at Ebony. I can't talk. Ebony was like, I like Imani, it means faith, so that's why she named her daughter Imani. Her mother comes to the hospital. The mother doesn't say anything. She looked worried, but she don't know how to express herself. So she basically told Tasha that, I'm not raising no more children. This is your responsibility. This is your child. So Tasha's just like, Imani is all mine. From the time she came out, I love her. I had an instant connection. The baby's attached to her. So, Tasha's like, I'm gonna do what I gotta do. Like, she doesn't ask her mom with the baby. She doesn't ask her mom for help. Help. Her school, Lincoln High School, has a daycare center where she could take the baby to school, continue her education. I thought that was dope. I think every high school should have a daycare, honestly speaking. There in the school, she takes a class. She takes a baby class with Miss Polly, Miss Porter, something like that. Let me see. Something like that. I forgot her name, but it started with a P. So we're gonna call her Miss P, right? Alright, yeah. Anyways. So that's that. So again, Ebony's her best friend. Ebony's mom, what's her name? Miss Lovey. I like Miss Lovey. I love her character. Tasha is able to go to Ebony's house. She's able to get a good meal. Her Miss Lovey loves to cook. She feeds Tasha. She knows Tasha's situation because Ebony tells her. But Miss Lovey never, she never lectures her. She never lets on that she knows Tasha business. Ebony is also pregnant. Ebony's pregnant with twins, so her best friend, and her best friend is there for her, and I love that. Okay, so now we get back to her mother, right? So her mother had took her to an appointment in which again, the mother's not saying nothing. The doctor automatically comes in, a black woman doctor, and the doctor is basically judging Tasha. Like, she doesn't even look at Tasha like, oh, basically, you young girls are too fast, and you just making babies, and it's children having children. And, the mother's agreeing with the doctor, talking down on Tasha right in front of her. And, Tasha's like, you don't know the half, like, I have a future. So then all of a sudden the mother's like, my baby girl is going to be a nurse, and then she has a future, and she's a straight A student. So that's the time when the doctor looked up at Tasha, was like, oh, you basically, you have dreams, you have goals, you're not like the other girls, and you don't make no more babies because you're not going to meet, achieve your dreams. And then she's like, what kind of doctor you want to be? And Tasha's like, I want to be a pediatric nurse. And the doctor's like, all right. And I'm just like, with the mother, I was just so mad at the mother. I'm like, yo, why are you telling your daughter business? Why are you speaking down on your daughter like that to a stranger? Like, that's your child. It was really mind-boggling. I did not like the mother's character at all. I thought that, she was very, very ignorant. I understand that, her mother had a past, and her mother didn't want Tasha making the same mistakes that she did, but her mother never took the time out to learn Tasha, to talk to her. She always belittled her and talked down on her. And, but Tasha was the type where, she's just it's gonna happen. She's gonna move forward. She's gonna bottle up and do what she gotta do. And boy, the repercussions of doing that, it's not good to do that. So Tasha has a crush on a boy in school named Peanut. Peanut at the time, he has goals of being in the NBA. Peanut says he likes Tasha. They met while they was playing like double dutch in the gym. They start hanging out. What else? They get cool. One day, Peanut just they walking home. Tasha had introduced Peanut to her daughter. Imani instantly took a liking to Peanut. Peanut just felt like he was gonna kiss, like he had permission to kiss Tasha and fill up on her. Tasha liked the kissing, but I was just like, Tasha. So I forgot to mention that the mother had took Tasha to the doctor so she could put her on birth control. Tasha tried to tell her mother like, yo, I don't be having sex, but the mother's like, nah, you're not making no more babies. So, okay, fast forward back to Tasha and Peanut. So next thing you know, they start getting close, they start having sex. Tasha really takes a liking to Peanut. She thinks that she's in love with Peanut, right? So then, that's that. So I'm gonna fast forward a little bit. So now, one day while she was in school, she ends up going into the cafeteria, right, for lunch. Next thing you know, she stops, and then she looks up and she says she saw the dude. So she sees this dude and she gets freaked out. She runs out. She goes to the bathroom. She starts taking a dump. She's crying. Then she ends up going to the nurse saying that she's sick. She goes and get her daughter. Then she goes by her best friend Ebony's house because Ebony is being homeschooled because she can't really go to school. She's pregnant. She's about to bust any day, right? So she gets to Ebony's house. They make buffalo chicken. And then she tells Ebony, like, I saw him. Ebony's like, what? Like, the dude. And Ebony's basically like, you should tell your mom. Tasha can't really say the dude's name. Tasha doesn't want to tell her mom what happened to her. What else? So all Tasha says at one point is that, Ebony, he said he had a knife. So instantly I knew that the baby Imani that was conceived as a result of rape, not on Tasha's own accord. Tasha was not being fast. Tasha didn't give consent, and it made me sad because I'm like, her mom is talking down on her and belittling her, and Tasha's doing the best that she can to raise her child. She's going through all these emotions and she went through a traumatic experience, and her mom doesn't know that she was raped. Like, and I'm just like, again, I understand the mom automatically assumes that, she had sex and she was being fast, but it just shows like when in the community, when you're in that certain type of environment and you're in that certain class, it's like it seems as a norm that you automatically just had sex and you had a baby, but no one questions like, was there consent? You understand? And I just felt bad for her character because she couldn't express it. She felt ashamed, like she blamed herself. So after she left Ebony's house, she wanted to talk to somebody about the situation because she couldn't talk to. She didn't want to continue talking to Ebony because she already knew what Ebony was going to say. She was fearful of going to school because the dude is now in school. She finally see him since the incident, and so she calls Peanut. Peanut now starts moving funny. He switched schools. He stopped talking to her. He stopped calling her on the phone. Like, he ignored her. It seems like, anytime Tasha starts talking to Peanut, it's like she's annoying, right? So Tasha's like, she don't have anyone to speak to. And on top of that, she body shames herself. She calls herself fat. She's dark skinned. She thinks her dark skin is ugly. Like, what else did I write down? It's just the way that she perceived herself. It wasn't one of good, which I could understand why she was easily, what's the word I'm looking for? I understand why. I can never find the words until after I stopped making the videos. I understand why that it was so. She was. What? Oh man, I can't think of the word. It was so easy for her to just go with the flow, go just do something, to believe what dudes say because she doesn't have self confidence, and they read that, they smelled that on her, right? So she calls the person who did her wrong, the man. So one she reflects on the story, right? So she was at a skating rink minding her business, where the dude comes up to her. She's sitting down, right? She's sitting down like this. He comes up, whispering his little stink ass breath in her ear, talking about, I think you're beautiful, what's your name? She told him, Tasha. Hi Tasha, you're beautiful, whatever. So he's like, yo Tasha, you wanna go outside? Her ass, mind you, she's by herself. They go outside in the parking lot. Then he's like, "Oh, you want to take a walk with me?" They take a walk in the woods. He lays his little jacket down. Next thing you know, she really smelling his breath. It smell like smoke. He starts kissing her nasty and all that. She tells him to stop. She tries to fight him all. He basically says, I have a knife, repeating it over and over again. So she gets scared. She stops trying to fight back. He rapes her, talking about, yeah, you like this, of course he ejaculated in her. After that, he was like, you a nasty bitch. No one is gonna believe you if you say anything. He left her. She just, she was in shock. She got up. She was ashamed to tell anybody that night. So she fixed herself up. When she got home, she was hoping that her mom would notice the body language though, because Tasha was used to do a routine. Like she'll come home, she'll sit next to her mom, they'll talk, they'll do whatever the routine was, right? That night, she didn't follow that routine, and her mom was watching TV. Tasha just went straight upstairs. She took a shower. She was praying. She didn't say anything to her mom. She was hoping that her mom would read basically the room and figure out like something was wrong, and then she would have said something. But because her mom didn't do any of that, she never said anything. And I was like, damn. And I think that's why it's important. I mean, I can't blame the mom for not noticing that, because sometimes people break routines. She was just thinking like, she came in from the party. You can't really fault the mom for not noticing the change. It's probably late at night. She was tired, and it was just, she didn't expect anything. She didn't see any wrongdoing in Tasha's clothes or whatever. So I can understand why the mom didn't notice the change. I can understand, it's not something that you notice right away, and it's late at night. And I can understand Tasha's feeling toward her mom didn't recognize that, right? So that's that. So because of the mom not noticing the change, Tasha decided that she's going to bottle everything up, right? I swear, I only have a cold when I do a video. So now that she knows that the dude, is in school, she stops going to school. So she skips school and she starts going to Ebony's house, right? It just so happened that Ebony wasn't home. She had given birth and her mother was there. So she goes to she still goes inside, and the mother was just like, gave her like a knowing look, right? So the mother's like, I've been meaning to talk to you. She's like, don't say it. She was like, listen, I'm not gonna tell your mom. But you can't not go to school. Like, you got a future. You gotta face it. I'm not gonna say anything that you don't want me to say, but long story short, like, don't let him stop you from achieving your goals, right? So she starts breaking down and crying, and the mother was like, the rape is not your fault. So that's the first time it was ever mentioned in that context. And she started, like, Tasha broke down and cried. She was letting it out, and I was just like, Miss Lovey knows, she knows how to speak. She has patience. She's willing to, help Tasha any way that she can, and she's being the mother that Tasha needs, right? Because the mother, again, the mother is not helping with Imani in that aspect. Tasha's waking up all hours of the night once Imani's crying, catering to her needs, feeding her. She's not asking for help. She goes to the baby learning school. She's learning from Miss Polly, Miss Porter, whatever her name is. And you know, she's trying to be a good mother. She's not trying, she is being a good mother. She's taking responsibility. And I was like, you know, the way I perceived it, that Tasha's still in an intense state of like shock, you know, because she hasn't spoken about the situation. She just bottled up. Then, despite the way the baby was conceived, she loves the baby. The baby, you know, the baby and her have a connection, and it's like a connection that she needs to fill the void that she's going through, and she's determined to do everything right and to protect her baby. And I was just like, you know, that's real. And it got me thinking, like, how many women have gone through that? How many girls are going through that right now? You know, and it's not fair to them. She became a mother when she didn't ask to be. You know, but again, everybody thinks that she's being fast, and only 2 people know the truth. So, and at the same time, her mom is continuing to give her a hard time. She keeps asking, like, why is Imani crying? Telling Tasha, like, you're not doing this right. You're not doing that right. She's basically, and then the mom at one point blames Ebony for the reason why Tasha gets pregnant, because she's like, oh, Tasha, if you wasn't hanging around that fast-ass girl named Ebony, then you wouldn't have been pregnant. I'm just like, why do parents always blame the friends? Like, at the end of the day, like, I mean, I get it, sometimes it's paper, but at the end of the day, you know, if it was a situation where Tasha was having sex and so-called being fast at that age, and she did get pregnant, then you can't blame the friend for Tasha engaging in sexual intercourse if there was consent. Like, her and dude knew what they were doing, if it was consensual, you know what I'm saying? If that was the case, but that's not Tasha's situation. And the more the mom is getting on Tasha's case, Tasha is like low-key erupting inside, because she's like, her mom doesn't even know, and she's just like, you on my case, but it's not my fault, basically, right? So at the same time, Tasha is trying to keep up with her schoolwork. She's her English, she's in an AP English class, and her Mr. Tova, her teacher, is just giving her a hard ass time. Like, oh, basically, she had to miss a couple of days because her daughter was sick. And then she went back to school. She got Mr. Tova gave her assignments to do. It just so happened that when she went home, she completed the assignment. She stayed up to 3 a.m, completed the assignment. That her daughter, the next day, found out she had chicken pox, so she couldn't hand in the assignment. When she did go back to school, he gave her an F and everything. He's just like, oh, you making excuses. This is like, yo, like, she's trying. Like, she's trying. And you giving her a hard time, like, yeah, and then you automatically judging her. And I'm just like, yeah, instead of y'all trying to understand whether it's a teacher, parent, outside factor, y'all just automatically just jump to judging. I guess that's just the nature of people, but it just gets frustrated. So because of everything that was occurring, Tasha one day got frustrated and she shook Imani, like shook Imani. And then she had went back to the baby class at one point. And she learned that if you, the shaking baby syndrome, if you shake the baby, you could cause brain damage and stuff like that. And when she learned that, she just got so scared, and she felt guilty because she did that, and she didn't know that she could hurt Imani. And she talked to her teacher about it, and then the teacher basically told her, like, you know, it's okay. It's raising a child. You're doing it by yourself. It's not easy. She did ask Tasha if she had help. Tasha basically said that she did have help, but she really don't. And the teacher confirmed that, you know, you are a good mother. You take notes. You're doing good. And Tasha needed to hear that. She definitely needed to hear that. And there was a blessing that the teacher was in her life to help along the way, because Tasha was doing things differently in raising her child that her mother didn't do with her. The mother loved Tasha. Like, I'm not gonna say, like, the mother really did love Tasha. She provided for Tasha, you know, but she was trying to show tough love in the situation. It was just like, you're not reading the room, sis. So the mother is Let me see. So Ebony takes her children to get her twins to get baptized. The mother doesn't believe in God. The mother doesn't believe in faith. She believes that the church is a waste of time. She believes that people who go to church are stupid and blinded. Tasha still goes to support her friend. And then after the baptism, Tasha just starts like, she wants her daughter to be blessed. So Tasha decides that she's gonna baptize her daughter in the tub at night. And I honestly thought that was like a powerful scene in the book. I just didn't know why I thought it was until towards the ending. Tasha then decided that she wanted to see what church is about for herself. She goes to church. And there in church, she feel like she's feeling the presence of the Lord. She at one point Imani had got away from her and crawled up the asshole. When she went to go get her, she had stopped in front of the preacher. It was just like a strong sense that was pulling her towards the altar. And she wanted to go, but she didn't go because she felt ashamed that if she was to go up there and accept God as her savior, that it would cause problems between her and her mother, because her mother doesn't believe in God. Her mother doesn't believe the thing, and she was like, it would do more harm than good. So she ended up like backpedaling and sitting back down, right? So she goes back home, and the mom is she basically like the church isn't about nothing. At the same time, I'm gonna mention this. Throughout the book, there is a character, Miss Odetta. Miss Odetta is a neighbor. She lives across the street. She comes to Tasha and her mom's house whenever they want to. Whenever she wants to, she has no etiquette. No guest etiquette. She just drinks beer, smokes in these people's house, put her nasty ass feet on their table. So just remember that character. Miss Odetta has a son named Junebug. Junebug is a neighborhood dealer. Miss Odetta thinks that Junebug was one of the kids who grew up with fancy clothes, the well dressed, and then he was supposed to become something like, but he became a drug dealer. So Miss Odetta tries to deny it and thinks her son is still the best, but they all know she basically thinks her son can do no wrong. And those type of parents set their child up for failure, honestly speaking. And you'll see, right? And then, so now the book, we can fast forward a little bit. The book goes into her mom is dating. Her mom at one point was dating married men, right? And I was just like, the mom has her nerve to judge her daughter, but yet you was going around sleeping with other women's men taking their money, right? So now the mother is just like, all right, she wants to date. So now she's dating a white dude named Mitch. Tasha basically meets Mitch when Mitch comes to the home. She finds that he's white. Tasha wants to see, she notices that Mitch really loves the mom. She's not really with the idea because, Mitch is white, and, the mom was like, I don't love Mitch. I'm basically using him for his money and this, that, and third, all that good stuff. So Tasha at this point doesn't trust Mitch. He works at the post office. He gives the mother money. He speaks to Imani, the baby. He tries to speak to and be respectful to Tasha, but what it is, right? So again, now we get back into where I believe that Tasha's low self-esteem is what gets her into trouble, right? So one night, she wants to go to the store. Imani's up. She walks to the store with Imani. There was a neighborhood drug dealer named Brooklyn, right? She goes into the store. Brooklyn comes after her, smiling. Oh, I think you pretty. I think you this, that, and the third, right? So Tasha just smiling and all that in his face. He smiled back at her. He asked for her number. She about to give it to him, this, that, and the third. Next thing you know, and I was just like, you know that he's a drug dealer. You know that he's feeding you BS to just get in your pants, and you still falling for it. But I understand she's young. She's young. And it's not until that she see that he had paid for her items or whatever. She saw that he had a gun, and she ran home, scared out of her mind. She wanted the protection of her mom that night. Sorry, guys. She wanted the protection of her mom that night. The mom is like, what's wrong with you? She asked the mom, can she sleep with her that night? The mom was like, "Oh, Tasha, you too old to be sleeping in the bed with me. Go sleep in your own bed. This, that, and third." And the mom, so Tasha was calling out for her mom, and her mom would not answer the call. And I think a part of that was like the mom saw Tasha as a disgrace because she had a baby, and I was just like, it's not right. It's not right, right? So now, that's that. That's that. So at the same time, Tasha is inquiring about God. She wants to know like who He is. Why does God forgive? She questions, why she was raped. What can God do for me? And all that, right? And then the chapter goes into she's reflecting on her time as she's reflecting on her time with her mom, right? So there was the mom and Tasha they was having a conversation. Hold on, let me just see what it was about. This is the part. So Tasha was getting ready for school, right? She asked her mom if she can watch the baby. The mom was like, yeah. So the mom decides that she's going to take Imani down to the welfare office to continue getting a check for Imani and to continue getting her welfare, right? So Miss Odetta came over, dropped the bomb that, the mom took Imani to the welfare office. Tasha confronts her mom. The mom just slaps her because the mom's like, "Oh, don't talk back and be rude," and like, "Oh, I need the check and how I'm supposed to provide." Tasha's like, "You could go get a job," and then the mom was like, "Oh, I can't get a job. I can't read." So the mom dropped out of high school because she reads on a child's level. She can't read. She has no skills, so she can't get a job. She had to stay on the welfare. Cause that's that. So Tasha didn't know that her mom couldn't read. She know her mom struggled, but she didn't know the extent to it. And they had a little heart-to-heart moment, and then I felt Tasha's pain because this is like, all right, I get that I'm your child and I have a child, but like that doesn't give you right to not speak to me about my child, the one that you don't want to help me with, but you go and put my child on your welfare so you can continue getting a check, right? That pissed me off, like, cause you don't help with my child, but you want to use my child. You get what I'm saying? Like the mom would do the hair, and sometimes she'll watch a child, but ultimately all the work Tasha was doing. And I was just like, yo, like parents really take advantage. Like they're like, all right, I guess it's because Tasha's still living under her roof and Tasha's still a mind, is that and third. Like she could do whatever she want because she's the mother. Now I ain't respect that. Like, I strongly feel, and I agree with what the book says, that just because you're a parent doesn't mean that you can't show respect to your kids, right? Your kids, when you have children, your children should be the first ones that you show respect to. Because when you show respect to your children will reflect the same respect back onto you and to other people. People feel like, because that's your child, they have to do whatever you say and you could do whatever you want to them. And it's just like, no, you have to show respect to your child. Like they deserve respect from their parent, and I agree with that. Like, and the mother had no respect for Tasha. The mother was also ignorant. She lacked a lot of common sense. She lacked a lot of knowledge, so she would just rumble and say stuff that wasn't true. And that pissed me off. Her mom was verbally abusive to her. She always put her hands on her. She threatened her like to slap her to next week and all that. Like, come on, like, how are you showing respect to your daughter? Like, how do you expect someone to treat your daughter and want to get mad at somebody disrespect your daughter when you're disrespecting your child? Like, it don't make sense. You can't do that. And it just that pisses me off. So we just keep going, right? At the same time, some girls had told Tasha that Peanut was dating a mixed skin girl at his new school. Peanut and the girl breaks up, right? Tasha's still in love with Peanut. She ends up calling Peanut, right? She ends up calling Peanut. She calls Peanut because Mitch was taking Tasha's mom, I forgot her name, out of town to Toronto. So Tasha's like, all right, cool. So she tells Peanut come over for the 2 nights, whatever. They end up coming back. They meet. Peanut grows up. He got taller, this and the third. They end up having sex over and over and over again. So at the time, Tasha was not taking birth control, so she was missing a couple days. Then she should decide that she's gonna start taking her birth control like 2 at a time, 1 at a time to make up for the days. I'm like, sis. I mean, she's young, so she doesn't know that's not how it works. And she was letting him, like, you know, ejaculate inside of her. I'm just like, Tasha, like, okay. And a lot of kids don't take it into account. If you are going to engage in adult activities, you have to protect yourself. And a lot of teenagers are careless. They're not thinking about diseases. They're not thinking about pregnancy. They're not thinking about taking care of themselves. And it was just like, you know, Tasha wasn't being safe. Like, despite everything, she wasn't thinking about her safety. She just went with everything, and that kind of pissed me off about her character. But again, I can't really be mad because she's still a child. She's still learning the world. She was taking advantage of her innocence, was taken from her before she had a chance to consent to giving it away. So after that, it's just like, you know, that person just took something from her, and people just take from her, and she's not assertive, so she doesn't stand up for herself. So you can't be mad with her character. It's just heartbreaking. And then her social class, where she living in poverty, all that all plays a factor. The way she perceives herself internally. Come on. So yeah. So that's that. So the mother comes back, you know, she's seeing Peanut again. Peanut meets the mother, you know, that's that at third. So I like Mitch's character. So Mitch was a type of white dude that, you know, he knew he was white, but he's been through some stuff. He also helps take care of Imani. He buys her things. He spends quality time with her. He plays with her. Like, you know, again, Tasha was hesitant, but he really did like Tasha. He really did like Imani. Imani was such a good is a good baby. She's very playful and stuff like that. So I like that about it. So Mitch was paying for a cake for Imani and all that, and Imani take pictures for her first birthday, right? While Tasha and Mitch go pick up the cake, you know, they have a heart-to-heart. And it's basically, they was talking about men, and they was talking about fathers, and, you know, why fathers left. So Mitch's story is that Mitch grew up, his father left the household for another woman. He stopped paying child support. Mitch ended up getting hooked on drugs. He was dealing with the loss of his father, and how the loss of his father played a role in, you know, his trajectory and how he grew up and the world he perceived, and he had to break that cycle and get himself together. And Tasha was questioning that, like, you know, does the loss play a role? And, you know, why is it important to grow up with a father? And should she live her life like that? Should she tell her daughter Imani when she gets older about her father, and about it once Imani starts asking questions, right? So let me see over here. Right? Okay, so I'm gonna just brace myself for the next part. So at Imani's birthday party, you know, Tasha was reflecting on, you know, I know Imani's gonna grow up asking about her father. Should I lie to her and say, you know, me and your father was together, we just didn't work out. He went his way, I went that way. And, you know, that's a happy story, or should I tell the truth? At the birthday party, you know, Imani's having a good time, and then things take a turn for the worse. So the following chapter goes into, it says Imani is dead. I instantly just started crying, because I'm like, Imani just turned 1. What the hell happened that she's dead? So initially before I read the chapter, I'm bawling my eyes out yesterday, because I finished this book yesterday. Well, yesterday to you guys, damn, I don't even know when this video is gonna be posted. But anyways, where was I? So I thought that Tasha killed Imani because she didn't want Imani to grow up the way she grew up and asked about her father. So I'm like, damn, Tasha, you killed him. I'm like, nah, she loves Imani. So it just so happened that Tasha was home with her mom and stuff, right? Tasha goes to put Imani in. For some reason, she didn't put Imani in her room that day. She goes to put Imani in her mother room to lay down. She goes back downstairs to wash dishes. She was like, I'm gonna check on Imani, but then she thought about like, I'll be up in a few seconds, right? I just gotta finish something. At one point, there was a car that came down the block and started shooting. So they started shooting because they were shooting at Junebug, which is the dealer, the neighborhood dealer, which is Miss Odetta, the mother's friend's son. Imani gets shot. Okay, wait, pause. So when the shooting's occurring, Tasha runs upstairs, right? She opens the mother door. She's calling for Imani, calling Imani. She doesn't hear anything. She opens the door. She sees Imani laying face down on the carpet. She gets her head blown off. I'm bawling. I just couldn't believe that. Like I'm picturing a 1-year-old like that, and it was bawling. Like Imani. Tasha sees her daughter with the blood, everything. She runs out of the house, screaming, crying. She cuts her foot. She passes out on the lawn. The mother's screaming, no. Like I think the mother grew to love her granddaughter. I think the mother loved Imani. The mother loved Imani. Like she did love her, despite everything. She loved her granddaughter, right? She goes to get Tasha outside. Fast forward a little bit. The mother's like, Imani is still alive. Pray for her. Have hope. In Tasha's body and her soul, she knows that her daughter is dead. People's like, keep hope alive. They get to the hospital. Imani is pronounced dead. She doesn't. Tasha's not crying. Tasha stops speaking. She really doesn't say a word. She doesn't speak too much, but no tears fall. Right. To this day, the mother is, she's just belligerent, like she's just crying, screaming up a storm, my baby. She's pronounced dead. So Mitch and the other family members, her family come into her uncle, her aunt, all that. Like they spend holidays with the family. She did have a support system with her family, right? The family comes over, lends Tasha a helping hand. They did support her. Peanut is there, Ebony's there. The neighborhood comes together to support Tasha. Miss Odetta, the mother ends up, punching Miss Odetta in the face, like it's your son's fault. They came in looking for the son. Miss Odetta's like, oh, she attacked me, arrest her. Junebug is like on the verge of the Junebug is running, and I'm just like, that's stuff. Like Miss Odetta know that they was coming after her son, and she denying it. And I was just like, that's supposed to be your friend. You've been in their house all the time, almost every day, drinking their beer, eating their food, putting your stink ass food on the table. Your son is the cause of this, and you denying it? I couldn't rock Miss Odetta. The funeral come, right? At the funeral, Tasha still doesn't cry, right? She's not crying at all. After the funeral, Peanut is there to help and support her. Her and Peanut is just having sex in the room all the time. It gets to the point where the mother and Mitch decide that they're gonna move in together with Tasha and all that, right? The family's mourning, and then at the end of the book, it's determined that wait, hold on. So yeah, I was right. So Peanut, Tasha having sex. Tasha ends up getting pregnant. The mother is really disgusted at this point. And I was just like, Tasha, no. Like, you just lost a kid. You having another baby? Come on, Tasha. At this time, Peanut doesn't know that she's pregnant. The mother didn't hit her this time. When she found out she's pregnant, the mother could barely look at her. Then Tasha decided that she's gonna go to church. In church, she gets like the calling. She finally decides that she's crying. She's crying for her daughter. She's crying for the feeling that she knows that her daughter is with God. She feels relieved, like a void is finally filled within herself regarding her daughter's situation. She decides that she's not going to hide the pregnancy. She decides that she's going to tell Pina, and whatever happens, happens. And that's that. Again, Tasha, this all happened before Tasha was 16. I'm like, she was raped. She lost a child. It was sad how Imani went. I wanted to see more of a character development with Imani. The story was more so very tragic. Although Tasha grew up in poverty, it didn't really, it showed the events of what happens when, you know, a family lives in poverty, as far as the family dynamic, the way the family support is, the area of how, you know, she grew up with crime around her, so it wasn't uncommon for that to happen, unfortunately. But I wanted to see more of a development with Imani. I wanted the mom to find out that the first pregnancy Imani was conceived through rape. I wanted Tasha to look at herself and feel confident and love herself. That none of that happened. But in the end, I'm glad that she found God. I'm glad that she found a sense of peace throughout everything that she's been through. I did like the book. It broke my heart what happened to Imani. It felt so real. Like I said, I was crying. I enjoyed the read. I did like the book. But that's my book review, guys. I don't know what the next book review is. Oh, I do have to let Key know. So Key EE, I think that's the username, right? You suggested for me to read Money Over Everything. Unfortunately, I have looked everywhere for that book. I looked on Amazon, I looked on audio, I looked in bookstores, I looked on Barnes & Noble. That book, I cannot find that book. So unfortunately, I would not be able to do that book review. So if you have another book suggestion, again, you suggested, if I'm not saying your username right, it's called Money Over Thing by Jay Ellis. If that's you suggest that book, drop in the comments another book suggested. I cannot find that book. But until next time, guys, your girl is out.